everyone, welcome back to Next Generation. So today's video was requested by a few different people and I don't know how I haven't thought to do this video already, but here we are. So I'm going to show you guys what's in my must-have toolkit. This is going to range from a few different things. It isn't just tool related. So these are just all over my must-have items that I use constantly when it comes to building or DIYing. So I'm going to break it down into three categories of things that I like to use. First will be my basic essentials. The second category will be my must-have tools, obviously. And then the last one will be the finishes that I like to use when it comes to DIYs. But we're just gonna go ahead and jump right in because I have a lot to cover today. And of course, I would love to hear from you guys on what your must-have tools or items are when it comes to building. So definitely leave them down below in the comments. And if you guys are curious as far as brands, we tend to always lean towards DeWalt products, which I'm sure you guys will notice a trend in this video. But we usually will either use DeWalt or Black & Decker. We've just always had really good experiences with them. I've noticed all of our tools that are DeWalt, we have not had to get replacements for, and we use the out of our tools. So personally, I love DeWalt. I don't really have much else to base it off of because it's what we know, it's what we love, and it's what's lasted the longest. So we're first gonna start off with my basic essentials. Some of these are super obvious, but I really wanted this video to cover every type of DIYer or builder. So whether you're a beginner or you're more intermediate, this is gonna cover all of the things that I need in my workshop. So if you have absolutely nothing or no idea where to begin, then this video will cover all of that for you guys. Also, I apologize in advance if I use any terms incorrectly. You can correct me in the comments if you would like, but I am in no way a professional at all. Most of the tools and things that I use, I don't know any of the correct terms for. I just use them. The first thing is a tape measure. I don't think I've ever built a DIY without a tape measure. Even if I'm not building it, I'm just assembling or just hanging it up on the wall, I am always using my tape measure. We have a few that are in different sizes, and personally, when it comes to a tape measure, a few things that I like to look out for are, first of all, I don't know if all tape measures come with this. I like the little lock that comes on it, so when you pull it out, instead of it retracting back, you can open it, lock it in place, and then it stays to whatever measurement you would like. Next up on my basic essentials, this is kind of an obvious thing, but this version just makes life a lot easier, and that is to use one of these flat pencils, which you can get at most hardware stores or online. I will have everything that I show in this video linked down below in the description if you are interested in purchasing anything, but it's basically a pencil that is flat instead of round. Whenever using a pen, sometimes it runs out of ink, so going with a pencil is always easiest in my opinion. But when it comes to pencils, whenever we're using round ones, they tend to roll off the table, we lose them, so just having a flat one, wherever you place it, it's gonna stay there. They also have certain sharpeners that you can purchase along with it, but all that we do to sharpen it is we just use a razor blade and we'll just cut at the edges and boom, you have a sharp pencil in like 3 seconds. So highly recommend one of these. Next up is another thing that I use in probably every single DIY, whether that's building, assembling, hanging, whatever it is a level. You need a level, okay guys? This, if you don't have one, stop this video and go get one. If you're crazy like me, I will notice when something is just a little bit off. So having a level is just, it's a must-have. Hence why it's in this video. I like that it has the hole on the top so that I can hang it on my pegboard outside. Not really much I can say about it, except that it levels stuff. So if you want to make sure a picture is straight on the wall, if you want to make sure you're building something straight and it's not just a little bit off or crooked, your level will be your best friend. So the next item that I have is something that you would use if you are hanging things up on the wall, and that is using a stud finder. So I have not mastered using a stud finder yet. We have 2 different types, and for some reason, I suck at using both of them. Like, it will tell me that there's a stud, and then I'll go back over it, and then there's no stud. I don't know, guys. If you have a stud finder that you love, please leave it down below in the comments. Rich can always end up figuring it out, and we end up knocking on the wall or putting a nail to double check that this is correct, but sometimes it isn't. A stud finder is a must-have because you want to be sure you are putting things into studs when you're hanging them on the wall so stuff doesn't just rip through the wall. But for some reason, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, this stud finder, I mean, I'm just giving you the idea that you need one, but I just have not gotten a 100% accurate read all of the time with the 2 stud finders I have. And I will also do some research and link a stud finder down below that has best-selling reviews. Get you one that works. It will save holes in your wall by trying to find a stud, and it will save scaring the out of your cats by knocking on the wall extremely hard, which is what we usually do. The next item is probably one of my favorite things that I use in a DIY. Once you discover it, you will be on the same page as me. You cannot live without it, and that is a speed square. Rich and I refer to this as a triangle because it's shaped like a triangle, but this thing is amazing. I'm sure I don't even know all of the capabilities that you can use these for. The main thing that I like to use this for is making lines whenever we go to measure wood that we need to cut. Because it has this lip on the side, this will catch onto the edge of a piece of wood, and then you can either use this side and draw a straight line, or you can use this side and draw an angle, and they have all of the different degrees written on the side so that you can do different types of angle lines. Also, it's just a perfect 90 degree. So if you're trying to make some type of template or you're building something that needs a perfect corner, then you can just use this quick and easy to line it up and make sure everything is perfectly straight. Another version of that, that's just another option in case you guys are interested, is one of these long metal ruler type things. It's called an angle square, and I got this from the Dollar Tree. Don't sleep on Dollar Tree, guys. They have an entire aisle of utility stuff. And again, I love that it has the hole at the top so that it easily can hang up on my pegboard, which I guess I should mention is another must-have as far as a workshop or building or storing your supplies. Is I love having my pegboard. I do have a separate video on how we organized our workspace if you are interested. The last thing on my basic essentials list is a clamp, and this is our huge clamp that we have. We don't have a collection of clamps just yet like we would like to have, but this one I love because it has this trigger on it, so you can just continue to pump it and it will just keep tightening into place so that you can get your clamp as tight as possible. But of course you can get clamps in all different sizes. You can get packs of them. So this is extremely useful in a ton of different ways. We like to use it as far as safety. So when we're cutting wood or we're sanding it, we can clamp it on to the edge of the table so that the wood doesn't move around. Another way that we use clamps are to hold things in place. If you need to hold 2 boards together to screw them, the clamp will do that for you, and then you have both of your hands free. And then lastly, of course, using it to secure boards together as they dry. If you are using wood glue or liquid nails, your clamp will secure it extremely tight together. Moving on to our next category, which are my tool must-haves. I'm first going to start off with some safety items that we always like to use. The first being some type of safety eyewear. So I did order some goggles. This is going to be a lot easier for me personally because I wear prescription glasses. I'm sure you guys don't know that because I don't wear them while filming. Like right now I can barely see things, and I have noticed that since these aren't attached to your face, they sit off of your face like glasses. That probably doesn't make sense, but as you can see, wood can still shoot up from underneath or on top or the sides. So I just recently ordered some goggles, and I just feel like that's gonna add some extra protection so that no wood can get through to my eyeballs at all. So a lot of these safety items that I'm showing you guys, Rich and I just started incorporating into our DIYs. So another one of those things are noise canceling headphones. I currently just use my Bluetooth headphones because they are noise canceling, but again, I ordered a bunch of new safety items. The next safety item is a face mask. So when you are cutting or sanding or doing anything like that, you want to be sure that you are protecting your face because you don't want to inhale any of that, especially because some woods tend to be a little bit more toxic that you shouldn't be breathing in. And then the last item, this is something Rich doesn't usually wear, but I love wearing these just because, again, I don't have to worry about anything when I'm wearing these, and that is some gloves. I like these because they are cut proof, especially when it comes to sanding wood. When you are dealing with some wood that may have lots of splinters or sharp edges, when I rub my hands along it with these gloves, it never rips or tears. Instead of watching where my fingers are and accidentally sanding over my nails or my hand, I just like having these as extra protection. If you like to have pretty nails like I do, then I just like wearing these. So if I am painting, spray painting, adding a seal or stain, and that gets on your nails, it tends to be really hard to get off. So I had to use really strong chemicals on my hands. It dried them out really bad. So to avoid getting any of that on my hands, nails, whatever it may be, I just like wearing gloves. I don't have to think about it, so why not wear them? Alright guys, moving on to the category you have all been waiting for, and that is the tools. Of course, my first must-have tool would have to be a drill. If I could only choose one tool to have and how to get rid of everything else, it would be a drill. So if you do not have one, you need a drill, okay guys? Do not be scared. We actually have two different types, and you guys are gonna hate me, but I don't know the difference. I know one is like a compact drill and one is a power drill or like a hammer. I don't know. I could just Google it, but I decided to start filming this before Googling it, so I don't have the answer for you guys. I highly recommend if you already have one drill and you're thinking or considering about getting a second, do it. It makes life extremely easy. The reason we love having two drills, not only are they different, so they are going to be used in different ways. Basically, if you get stuck trying to drill something in, instead of it stopping, it's gonna start giving a hammering effect to really get that screw into whatever you're trying to drill it into. Crappy explanation, but that's what it does. Also, the reason that I personally love having two drills is because 99.99% of the time when we are drilling in a screw, whether that be while we're building or assembling or hanging, we always pre-drill. So I like having both of the drills because one can have my pre-drill and then one can have the drill bit for the screw on it. And that way you aren't changing out the drill bits. You have one ready to pre-drill, and then right after you can attach your screw. Super easy, saves so much time. If I am just using one drill, then I always tend to grab the larger one. And the reason why is because I have found that it's so much easier for me personally to attach a drill bit in here, whereas this one I always have problems with. And that's because this one has this tip on it where you pull it up and you can detach your drill bit, and then it's almost like you have to use this piece to attach your drill bit to before you can put it back in, whereas this drill is amazing. I feel like it's foolproof personally, so I love it. The reason that I say that is because you can just twist this piece here, and as you can see, there's a little tip that's starting to come out of the drill, and this is where you attach your drill bit. So you do not need this little extra piece. You can use it if you would like. You would just open this up to whatever size that you need, stick that in, and then you just tighten it up, and now it's ready to use. So I just feel like that's so easy because this tip can fit almost any size drill bit. So I like that because I don't even have to think about it. And then also another feature I really like about this one is you can change the torque. Right here, there's a thing that you can spin and there's numbers on it. So this will be how much power that it's giving the drill. So when you go to add a screw into something, it's not gonna continue to try to turn that screw. If it gets stuck, it's just gonna stop. Whereas if you rise the power, then it will continue spinning, which can strip your screw. So you can't have a drill without some drill bits. So my next must-have items are drill bits. So there are two different types. Again, I don't know the terms, I don't know the correct words. That's okay, because I'm gonna show you. So one of these kits are all of our screw head drill bits. So this is what we're gonna use to attach screws. And then our other kit is this one's always a mess, so don't judge me. But our second kit is a pre-drill drill bit kit. As you can see, it's all the different sizes that you would need to make holes to pre-drill before you add any of your screws. It's good to have all different sizes because we use pre-drills in lots of different ways. We like to pre-drill holes, like I mentioned, before we add a screw. And then we use the larger ones whenever we need to make holes for things. Maybe we need to add a dowel to something, or if we need to add an anchor into the wall, then we will pre-drill a hole for it. So this next item I don't feel like applies to everyone. This is just something that I found myself using a lot lately, so I feel like it's definitely a must-have for me now, whereas we've had this for years and years now and I've never even looked at it, but now that I know it exists and I've used it once or twice, I like can't stop using it, and that is a hole saw kit. You get all of these different size hole saws. It's kind of like the name implies. It basically is a saw to make holes, but these are extremely user-friendly because you can use them on your drill. So it comes with your piece that you attach to your drill, and this piece can be used in your smaller drill if you would like to use that one. Oh, look at that. Doesn't fit. That's why I never use the smaller drill, but it does fit in your larger drill. Then you just choose what size hole that you're trying to make. So if you do a lot of woodworking like we do on our channel, then this comes in handy. You can either get a kit like this, which comes with some smaller sized hole saws, or you can get individual sizes that vary in a ton of different sizes. So we do have a few larger size individual ones as well. If you're just trying to get into it and see if you like it, then I would recommend getting the kit so that you have all of your different sizes to play with. The next item is another thing that I did not realize how much I could not live without it until I picked it up and used it for the first time, and that is using a sander. So this is obviously an electric sander. You just plug it in, you attach your sandpaper to the front. You can get all different types of grits for this, and then it also comes with a detailing piece for the edge as well to get into really small spaces. It also has a sawdust holder collector at the bottom, which I really like. Rich had one forever now, and I finally picked it up recently and used it, and I used it so much that I broke it. So the day that I broke it, we were working on a DIY, and we stopped that DIY to go buy a sander before I could continue because I was not hand sanding. Once I discovered an electric sander, it just was not happening. This is a game changer. Highly recommend an electric sander. So the next item is another that's on the top of my list, right under the drill, that I cannot live without. If I had to choose any tools in my workshop, it would first be the drill, and then this would be the second, and that is a saw. So this is gonna vary for everyone depending on what you cut, what types of cuts that you make. I was trying to think which one is my favorite saw to show you guys in this video, but I figured I would show you all of the ones that we use so that you can choose which one works best for you personally and the types of projects that you make. The first one I could not bring into my room because it's way too big, and that is our miter saw. So this one is definitely my #1 favorite. If I had to choose one and had to get rid of all of the others, it would be the miter saw. I'm so obsessed with it, and I do feel like this tool is also foolproof, so love that for me. And the ways that I like to use this saw, or the reasons that I really like it, is because #1, you can change the saw blade on it. So if you wanted to cut metal or something other than wood, then you can get the appropriate blade for that cut. Also, I love it because it's stationary, so you have it on your tabletop, or we have like a miter saw holder where we attach it onto the stand. Once you have it in place where you want it, it just stays there while you do all of your cutting. The miter saw, in my opinion, I feel the safest using, even though it is the largest saw that we have. I don't have to hold the saw with my hand and worry about cutting off my other hand, so love that. Also, of course, the reason most people like miter saws is because you can make angled cuts extremely easy and extremely accurate. So you would either set the bottom piece to whatever angle you want to cut, or you can even move the saw from side to side depending on what angle you would like to cut. So there's 2 different ways to do that. I also really like that the saw came with a clamp, so you can clamp down your wood. Again, an extra safety feature, so you don't have to hold it with this hand as you're cutting down with this one. And then just an extra little feature that I like about it is it does come with the bag for the back. So if you wanted to use this in an enclosed workshop, then this will catch a majority of your sawdust when you're making your cuts. My next favorite saw would be our circular saw. So this one is, as you can see, a handheld saw, so you would guide it and control the cuts. So that is something that does make me a little bit more nervous. The times that we use this over the miter saw is when we're cutting really large pieces. So if we have like a sheet of plywood or something that's really large, our miter saw only cuts 8 inches. So if we have like a 16-inch board, we can cut 8 inches, flip it, and then cut the other 8. But if we have anything larger than 16 inches, then we will pull out the circular saw and cut it with that. And then my last favorite saw option that we have a few other saws that I've never personally used, so I'm not including it in this video. I'm only gonna include the ones that I personally love. The last one is a jigsaw. So this one is another handheld saw, just like the circular one that I just showed you, but this one's a lot lighter. If we need to cut circles, it comes in handy, or any other types of designs or shapes. I wouldn't recommend the other 2 saws that I showed you. Those are more for straight cuts. I would recommend a jigsaw. You can also buy the blade to cut all different types of materials. And as you can see, there's a dial that you can change the types of cuts you're making. Next up, I'm going to show you guys some of my favorite must-have hand tools that everyone needs in their workshop. First up being a hammer. I don't feel like I need to offer much of an explanation here. It's pretty obvious what hammers can do. But as far as choosing a hammer, I like ones that are more heavy duty, that have a pretty large space here to work with, so that whatever I'm hammering has enough space for accuracy as far as hammering. A comfortable grip, because if you're hammering something, you want to be sure that you're protecting your hand. Next up is having this piece on the back. No clue what it's called, but must have this on a hammer because this will remove any nails or anything you may need to pick at or remove, you can use this for. Those are just 3 things that I like as far as choosing a hammer. Next up are handheld screwdrivers. Of course, these come in so many different sizes. We have so many of these, but if you are overwhelmed and you don't know which ones to get, I would recommend getting some type of kit that has different sizes. We have a flat head and a Phillips head. I like having both of them quick and easy to access because we tend to grab these and use them pretty often. We usually hand tighten clamps and then we'll go in with a screwdriver and then further tighten it. So they work good for that. They also work well to pry things open if you have a gallon of paint or something that needs help with opening. If you need to chisel something, you can use the flathead for that and use a hammer to hit on the back of it. And a few things that I like in these are, again, a comfortable grip. This one has little finger grips at the top, and then I really like that the back side is metal because, like I mentioned, you can use this as a chisel, and if you're banging on it with a hammer, you don't want to bang on rubber or plastic. It might break the plastic, so I like that these are metal on the end. And lastly, the actual screwdriver is chrome. They are super protected. If they do get wet or something like that, then they may not rust as quickly as any other type of material. Next up are wire cutters. I don't even think that's what these are called, but that's what I use them for, or anything small like that that just needs to be trimmed or cut really quickly. And lastly, as far as must-have hand tools, are pliers, I think is what this is, or a wrench. I don't even know, guys. But this is really helpful. If you need help tightening or loosening up anything, then these come in handy for that. So those are all of my must-have tools. And now we're gonna leave off on all of my must-have supplies as far as finishing up a project or a DIY. First up are screws and nails. So this is probably obvious, but had to include it in my must-haves. And this case just makes life so much easier because you can see all of your different size screws and nails, and then also it just keeps everything really organized. So I got this plastic holder from the Dollar Tree, of course, and then I just have a bunch of nails and screws in here that we use pretty frequently. We have a drawer in our toolbox that has all specialty type screws and nails, but these are our quick access, everyday use screws and nails. And we also do like to keep our drill bits in here that we use frequently as well, so that we don't have to go into our kit and grab what we need. Next up, we've got silicone, liquid nails, whichever you personally like more. I don't even know, is that the same thing? I personally really like liquid nails, so we have all different types. This one's for projects, this one's extreme heavy duty, but not just the liquid nails is what you need. You also need this handle, because if you've ever used liquid nails, then you would know how annoying it is to use. First of all, if you don't know, when you get liquid nails, you have to cut off the tip and then you have to puncture the inside of this tube. So this handle is so easy to use because not only can you use this to squeeze your glue out, which makes life so easy, but also it comes with this little stick on the end so that you can use it to puncture your glue and get it started so that it's ready to use. So love that about this. Also, if you've ever used liquid nails, it's kind of weird to use. You could just squeeze it and then you end up with like a dent in the glue. So what this does is it pushes on this back piece. You just push it, and then as you can see, the glue will just start oozing out the top. Then when you're finished, you can just pull this piece back and this will loosen up your glue so that it doesn't have that pressure pushing on the back of the glue. And then we just let the glue dry out in here, put the stick through it, and then re-puncture the glue so that it's ready to use again. So you don't have to throw it away after one use, you can reuse it. I just feel like this is such a dynamic duo. You definitely need both of them. Another dynamic duo that I can't live without would be my spray paint and spray paint nozzle. So if you've ever discovered spray paint, then I'm sure you went and spray painted your entire house because it's so addicting. But I'm sure you have also experienced the numbness in your hand from spray painting for way too long. So having this nozzle is a lifesaver. Also, again, just the prima donna in me, I guess. I don't like to get my nails dirty, so when you're holding down a spray paint nozzle, then your nail will go in front of that. So not only will you get spray paint all on your nail, in it, under it, but it will also block some of the hole where the paint comes out of, and that will mess up the flow the spray paint has to evenly go on to whatever you're spray painting. So not only will this help with your hand cramping because you're just holding a nozzle and you're not sitting there with your finger like this for an hour. But also, if my nails are too long and they're covering up that hole, there will be splotches and just blobs of paint everywhere. You will definitely thank me later on this one. Also, you can either hold the nozzle here or you can also hold it at the top. Next up, this is another thing that I've recently discovered and again, cannot live without, and that is Thompson Water Seal. I love this because you can use it on lots of different surfaces. Personally, we use it on wood pretty often, but you can also use it on brick, masonry, cinder block, anything like that. It will repel the water and the water would basically just bead right off of your structure. Definitely one of my top favorite sealers. So hand in hand with paint, spray paint, seal, stain, anything like that. I love having mineral spirits on hand. I love this stuff because if you make a mess, if you get paint on you, like I mentioned, this just wiped it right off. But obviously it's a chemical, so I don't really like using this on my skin. But if you make a mess, if you get on your floor, your table, desk, wherever, then this stuff will get it off super easy. It says it thins oil-based paint, stain, varnish. You can also use it to clean your paint brushes. And the last item, again, this goes hand in hand with paint, stain, seal, all that good stuff. And that is some paint brushes and foam brushes. So we always have multiple sizes of both of these on hand at all times. So I had to include it in this video. Also rollers as well. I don't know how much that applies to people who do woodworking. Foam brushes we use in so many different ways. We like to use them to apply wood stain, seal. They're extremely inexpensive, so after I use them, I just throw them away instead of trying to clean them off. You can get a pack of 8 of them, all different sizes from Dollar Tree for $1. So I love getting them from there. And as far as finishes that we always have on hand, we always have some wood stain colors, some paint, interior and exterior, and then all different colors of spray paint. So that, you guys, is everything that is on my must-have toolbox list or my workshop must-haves. I could not see myself building a project without any of these items that I showed you, so highly recommend all of them. And as I mentioned, I will have them all linked down below in the description if you're interested. So I would love to hear from you guys on what your favorite items are, what you can't live without. Definitely leave them down below in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye, guys.